Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lisa and Friends, a fun and spirit-filled conversation happening on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tonight's guest is an old friend of mine. We were besties in sixth grade, and I am so proud to have this time and get to know some of Lisa's energy medicine a little bit better. Lisa Brunner-McCormick is my guest, and she is a certified body talk practitioner, and that doesn't even really cover all of Lisa's gifts. And so tonight you are in for a treat as we dig in to the practice of healing in terms of alternatives to the established modern medical fields. And so Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So Lisa, you have practiced body talk for a while now, but let me just tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you found your way into body talk. So Lisa's originally from Gearing, Nebraska, my hometown, and she graduated with me in 1987. She got a pre-med degree in exercise science from Arizona State University. And after graduation, she worked in personal training, teaching clients how to prevent disease and improve their health. She developed her own program called Muscle Maintenance by the Motivator and taught students how to get in shape without going to the gym. That sounds really like you could make a lot of money doing that, Lisa. In 1999, Lisa was slated to film an exercise video in beautiful Sedona when her husband was transferred to a small town in the White Mountains of Arizona. So she switched gears and then started working in physical therapy, helping clients to recover from injuries and surgery. Lisa eventually moved into cardiac rehabilitation with Summit Healthcare in Show Low, Arizona, and she took her skills to a new level there. After 3 years of working her way to the top of the department, she left the corporate world to assist her husband in a family business. And in 2009, things changed as Lisa started to get strange symptoms in her body. There was a loss of energy, and her bladder and gut were on fire. And every single morning when she woke up, she had felt like she was running a marathon in her sleep. And so after many years and many doctors, Lisa was finally diagnosed with fibromyalgia and interstitial cystitis. Everything happens for a reason, and that diagnosis put her back on her life's path and catapulted her into this path she is on today. She received her first body talk session in 2014, and it changed her health so much that she went back to school so she could become a certified body talk practitioner in 2015. So for the last 6 years, Lisa has been helping people heal from physical, mental, and emotional issues. It is her life's passion and mission in life to heal, help others to heal. Lisa and her husband started a new company last year called the Health and Wellness Advocates, and their motto is bridging the gap between dis-ease and wellness. In today's world, trying to navigate through our current system, which Lisa calls sick care, you need an advocate on your side, and Lisa is definitely an advocate. So one of her favorite sayings is, to know nothing is the beginning of everything. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about your journey when you started to have those symptoms and felt so sick. What are the things that you did at first? You know, what ways did you seek out answers at the beginning of that?
Well, it was basically the traditional way. You know, I felt that I was losing energy. I can remember being in the office and I couldn't even stand like to talk to a client. I was like, I had to sit down. And so I didn't really understand what was going on. And every time I took my dog for a walk, I just felt this pressure and burning in my bladder. And then the next thing I knew is like my gut was on fire. I mean, it just felt like I had holes everywhere and it was burning and I didn't feel well. And so I would, you know, not eat or just live on soup or just trying to do what I thought was best for my stomach and digestion. And I really wasn't getting anywhere. And so I did go to many doctors and I started with my gynecologist, and she confirmed that there was nothing wrong with my female organs. Everything was good. She was actually the one that gave me the diagnosis of interstitial cystitis. And she just basically said, look, there's no cure for this. We can give you a medication, try this medication, and let's see what happens.
Mm.
I did. I tried the medication. It didn't do anything. And so I was pretty disheartened by that, because if a doctor who we go see, we believe that they have more information for us, you know, that they can help us heal. We basically go to them in our worst moment in hopes that they can help us. And now that I look back on it, I can say that you know, that is the paradigm. That is the normal way of getting help. But what if that help doesn't work? And that's really what happened to me, you know, after going from doctor to doctor to doctor, and not getting the answer or the resolution that I needed. Then they put you into a new category. And the last doctor basically ignored me as the patient, spoke to my husband, and asked my husband if I had OCD, which stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. And I look back on that now and it made me livid, which I think is a good thing. Anger gets things moving. And he was my last doctor that I ever saw. He actually motivated me. And I went home and I decided to draw the line in the sand. I just basically said, I'm going to start trying some different things. And that's what I did. And even my family, they basically weren't supportive of that, you know, because they would tell me, you're not a doctor. What do you know? You could hurt yourself, you know, all those fears that pop up. And I can say that I was at a point in my life, and every night I was waking up from 1 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock. I was just in so much pain that I tried a few things. And I could tell you some things worked, some things didn't, but I didn't give up. And I was determined to heal myself. I really was. And so that's really what started me on this mission, because I would buy something off the internet. People would write ebooks, like some lady wrote an ebook to remove salt from your diet. Well, that didn't work. And actually now looking back, it's actually pretty dangerous to remove all salt from your diet. It didn't change, but at least I tried, right? And I was, you know, becoming my own experiment. You know, I remember saying to myself that I was going to be my own guinea pig, and that's really what I did. And there's something in that where you just decide, I'm going to try something new. And so after visiting with my naturopath, she had given me some supplements that had helped. And I still had this underlying fear of the pain coming back to like a level 9 or 10. Whereas when I saw my naturopath, we had gotten it to maybe like a 4 or a 5, which was quite dramatic. But it was really in her office that I'll never forget the moment where I heard a little voice in my head. And that little voice said, tell her the truth. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm having this conversation within, like, tell her the truth. And literally it pushed me again, tell her the truth. And I was like, all of a sudden, what came out of my mouth was, I am dealing with tons of fear. Like there was this absolute blurting out of, I am so fearful that this pain is going to come back. And I didn't ever really want that to be said, because I always wanted to kind of paint this picture that was rosy. like, I'm doing fine. I'm strong. I can handle this. I have all of this knowledge and background. I can figure this thing out. That was kind of where I was coming from. But what she did instead was she handed me a card, and on it, it said, Body Talker, Body Talk by Marianne.
Hmm.
And she said, give her a call. And I was like, well, what is it? She goes, I can't explain it to you. She's like, but I know it works. And she's like, give her a call. And so that's what I did.
Hmm.
That's where my journey began, because I thought, well, what do I have to lose? Right? So do you want me to go in and explain that phone call?
Well, yeah, I just want to just kind of backtrack just a bit. It's just so
Okay.
interesting how women especially we feel this pressure to be on all the time, don't
Yeah.
we? Like, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure some of the ladies in this group right now would nod yes, that we feel like we have to always present a certain happy, persona, or be that strong, I'm gonna be strong, and I'm okay, and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
admit any kind of, like, weakness or pain or suffering, and it's just so interesting how there is something about our society that causes that, right? And how
Yes.
many women just ignore these serious, things that are going on in their lives, in their bodies, that really need attention because we're afraid. And so I just really appreciate that you share that with us, and that, this is a wonderful story of overcoming fear and getting to something that's maybe a little bit different, maybe not necessarily in the normal realm of healing and getting well. And so tell us what you found at this first body talk session that you did.
So I gave her a call, and she was in California, and I live here in Arizona. And I remember, talking to her and spending time on the phone, trying to grasp and understand it, because my background, coming from an area of where I was taught really that the body is a machine. I was taught that, when a part wears out, you cut it out and you get a new one.
Hmm.
The paradigm that we grew up in was, if you're sick, go get a pill, right? There was never any teachings. I mean, even I remember specifically one of my science teachers, they were kind of teaching us that, you don't want to run a marathon, or you don't want to do extreme sports, because, the heart is only good for so many beats. Literally, that's what they taught me back in the late 80s, early 90s. The belief that our parts wear out, they're not meant to last a lifetime, and that, sooner or later you're going to have to get on some sort of medication, because, you are expected to get high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever. I mean, that's literally what they taught us. There was a missing component to that Body Talk really added to what I learned, and that is that we are more than our physical body. We have so much more. And I never had any exposure to energy medicine until 2014. And I think timing is everything. You have to be ready to receive. And in the health state that I was ready for a change. I was ready to receive. And I had no choice. I really just wanted to get better, and I wanted to heal myself. So after I had a consultation with her on the phone, she explained things to me to my best of my knowledge that I can understand. And she's like, just don't overthink it. Just, be open, and, let's try this. And I was like, I'm ready for anything. So my very first session on the phone was nothing less than miraculous, because I purposely withheld information from her. Usually they have you fill out a health history form, and it just gives them kind of some ideas of, how long you've been suffering, and if you take medication, and where things hurt. But I didn't give her any of that information, and she was okay with it. So in that session, I can tell you, I thought she knew me in and out. Like there were things that only I knew that was coming up, and she was a complete stranger to me. So I knew that there was something to this.
So
And
Lisa,
then by the
how
end,
does a body talk session on the phone go? Like, how could she know this? Can you kind of give us a little um, more description, I guess, about how that would go?
okay. So in body talk, um, we are basically tuning in to the wisdom of the body. It is energy. We all have it. We all have an innate wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we have what is known as localized consciousness. Then there is also collective consciousness and universal consciousness. So consciousness is everywhere and is everything. So there have been many studies out there in the scientific world that shows that time nor space does not matter. It doesn't interfere whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so even though I didn't understand it completely or fully at that time, it still worked, even though I didn't understand it.
So would she
And
ask you questions, Lisa, or have you tap your body, or uh, would she kind of do a hypnotic regret? Take you into
yeah,
places in the
oh, that's
past?
a good question. So basically, it's just in Body Talk, we follow a protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And um, we are tuning into the client's inner wisdom. And we follow a chart, but it's also structured so that we are using the left brain and the right brain together. And we call that structured intuition. And through this chart, it helps us navigate your energy system, basically. And for the last 6 years that I've been doing Body Talk, not one person's formula ever looks the same because we're all unique. We
Sure.
are all unique and we all have different energy signatures, and um, not one formula ever looks the same. And I find that amazing, absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we all know that we have a physical body, and we all know that we have a head brain, right? And the inner, the inner part of us is sometimes difficult for everybody to tap into, and that's what Body Talk helps facilitate. Because all healing is a facilitation
It,
of, yeah, it is.
so if you were to do a body talk on me right now, what would that look like? Like, because I
Just
know,
right now, like,
yeah,
yeah.
talking about it is it's like it's interesting and it's really cool and intriguing, but it's like, what does it look like though? Like to have a body talk session, like how does it go? You know what I mean? I don't mind if you wanted to do one on me to just give a demonstration, but can you help us understand a little bit more about how you work with the person's body and
So, when I work with somebody, it would be just like this in a Skype. If you and I weren't in the same room together, we would be doing it just like this. Usually we ask our clients to lay down, to relax, and just follow what we're saying.
Mhm.
Sometimes we do ask questions, and sometimes what's coming up basically is known as the priority. So our body is all about balancing. We in Body Talk, we believe that inside our body is consciousness. Like there's a consciousness of the liver, there's a consciousness of the brain, there's a consciousness of the heart, and everything communicates with everything. So when we work with Body Talk on our clients, it's improving the communication between the cells, between organs, through endocrines, through body parts. It allows it to come up as a priority for balancing, because that's really all we can do. We want to balance the body. And when we balance issues, it could be emotional, mental, or physical issues, the body can then resolve naturally, self-healing, the self-regulation, through a self-awareness.
Okay.
Okay.
So would you be willing to do a little body talk on me?
You want to try that?
Sure.
Yeah?
I would
Okay.
lie down, but I could sit in my meditative place and close my eyes because I'd like to just show people, the demonstration of it. And I was trying to think of like, well, what, would I do it on? And I guess what I would say is I have been waking up at like 2 o'clock, one a little bit, a little sometime between 1 and 2:30, almost every night, and I feel kind of hot, and I'll get up and I'll use the restroom, and then I know that it takes me a while to get back to sleep, and I get restless during that time, so I go into the other room so I'm not disturbing Frank, and then I'm pretty restless, and then I end up snoozing at some point, like 4 o'clock maybe. And I don't have a clock in there, so I don't really know what time that is. But like this has been a pattern pretty consistently now for a while. And I'm wondering if there's something that I could learn about that experience through Body Talk. And I wonder if you can help me with that.
Okay. So a normal session usually it takes about an hour, but if you want, we can do a few links. It won't be a full session,
Sure.
but what we can do is see what the priority is for you.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Should I
All
close
right. So
my eyes then, or I'll just listen?
it's up to you. I just need to do a little tune in right now, and then I'll get started.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have permission to go ahead and start this procedure, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so section 4 is coming up, which is on the body protocol chart. And let me go ahead and tune in. Let's see here. The first thing that's coming up for you is your lymphatics. And the lymphs actually are about clearing out things that build up in our body. We actually have more lymph fluid than we do have blood, actually, if you didn't know that. Let me see. Let me get more information here. Okay, it's asking for more specific on your lymphs, so let's find out where. And it's the lymphatics specifically in your abdomen. We have some details on that.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm asking now is orientation. How is it orientated? Like, what can we understand about this? Okay, so this is orientating around work. Let me ask if there's more information. It's basically about the change that is, you've had to reorientate your business, basically, like you're stuck inside. In regards to this whole process that we're going through with this pandemic, that's kind of throwing you off, kind of making things sluggish. Okay, so that's enough for that. Is there a link? Yes. Where are we linking? So we are now in section 1. What's coming up right now is known as a topic of energies. And it's a meridian right now that we're going to focus in on. Let me get my chart. And the meridian that's coming up for you is known as your bladder meridian. And really, the word that is associated with this is peeved. You're a little peeved.
I could probably imagine how that I would feel peeved during this time. Not the only one, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so when we're linking the lymphatics, when I, as the observer, look at these two links for you, I'm actually seeing it. Like I can see your body and I can see the area that we're focusing in on, which is the abdominal lymphatics. That's what's kind of stuck for you. And it was orientated around this new work way of you trying to adapt, basically. And then it linked to a meridian, which is known as the bladder meridian. And the bladder meridian runs all the way down from the back of the head, all the way down the spine, down the buttocks, and all the way down to your ankles. And it starts actually up here from the front of your eyes all the way back. And so as we link those two within your body, you're creating a priority for your innate wisdom to say, oh, I see the imbalance. And we're going to create that priority to be the focus. Okay, let me see. Cells. That's good. Let's move on. Is there another link? Yes. The next link that's coming up has everything to do with your environment. And what it is we call it life cycles. And what's popping up is Chinese clock. I need to grab a chart real quick. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. So focusing in on right now is the time period of it's actually the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., which is known as lung time. Okay. And so, you know, when you're trying to sleep during this time period, our lung functions kind of slow down. You know, we're not exchanging as much oxygen, right? So let's see. And really what it is just that period right now between 3 and 4, which is of most importance for you. Sometimes what happens in these cycles is that we kind of get caught in between. And so instead of it going in a nice flow, it's kind of getting stuck between that 3 and 4 o'clock time period, which is pretty common. And so with this link, it brings it to an awareness for your body so that it can, you know, help it move this stuck energy. Any details? No. And we'll do one more link for you.
Okay.
So what's coming up now is known as Wei Qi. And Wei Qi is an energy field that surrounds our body. Basically, it's about a half an inch off the body. We can actually see Wei Qi if you stare at somebody's silhouette and you just soften your eyes, you can actually see the energy. It's as if you were driving down a road and you could see, you know, hot vapors coming off the road.
Sure.
Same thing happens.
How do you spell that, Lisa? W-E-I-T?
Yeah, W-E-I-Q-I.
Q-I, okay.
Yeah, Wei Qi as it's pronounced. And it goes more specific into protective Wei Qi. Let me find out more. And what's coming up for you is almost climatic. So I would ask you basically, are you feeling like you're getting too hot at night while you're sleeping? Are you woken up? Yes?
Yeah, I get
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's coming up. It's a climate issue, like you are getting uncomfortable.
Ah, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Does that make sense
Yeah,
too?
totally. Which is why I also go into the other room because it's a cooler room.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we're kind of in that sort of middle, right, transitioning into summer, you know, so we still kind of have like some blankets and maybe it's time to be rid of the blankets. So,
Right.
makes sense.
So what this is doing is once again, you know, it's your body saying this is what is part of this sleep issue, as you call it. And so what we would do now is, since this is a shortened, condensed version for you and for our watchers, what we would do then is go ahead and tap this out as we see it. And so very first item that came up for you was the lymphatics, basically. And so when we focus on the first item that came up, everything else just falls in place like a domino.
Oh,
we
cool.
don't have to tap out everything because I have it in my mind. And so what I would ask you to do is just to go ahead and place your hands on your abdomen.
Okay. You can't see it,
Okay.
but I'm doing it.
Yeah. So, so what I'm going to do is, you know, like you have your hands, and I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to focus in on you, and I'm going to start tapping out this formula that came up for you. And so as I'm doing this, I really want you to envision your lymphatics in your abdomen, and I want you to take a deep breath in and out. And what we're doing is we're tapping in this formula for you, for your body, basically to raise an awareness and to balance these issues that are a priority for you. And so each of those items I am actually moving through on my head. I remember what each one was. And then I'm actually telling your brain to wake up. That's what this tapping does. It says, brain, wake up and scan the body. And when I tap on my heart, it is basically saying, save these updates. The heart knows everything. The heart actually sends more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the heart.
Okay.
So in Body Talk, we tap on the head, we tap on the heart, and we tap on the gut. Okay. And
Now, is there like a Morse code like type of messaging that's happening with the way you tap, or how does that work?
So in science, when we tap on the head, it actually sends static waves to the brain. And if you had electrodes on your head as we tapped, you would see that interference of the tapping. And so it does it naturally. You don't need any special equipment. And it basically just tells the brain, wake up, right? There's a new message coming in. And tapping is very powerful, very, very powerful. And what's beautiful about Body Talk is that it does encompass all three brains. We have three, if you didn't know it. We have a head brain,
Yep.
we have a heart brain, and we have a gut brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need all three brains to work together. You don't want one stronger than the other. When they're in alignment with each other.
Why we're in trouble. We've been working too much with this one.
Yeah. You know, the brain in it itself is just a hard drive. It is an absolute hard drive. It retains, patterns and habits, old memories, data, really. And our brains are not stuck. They're not concrete. They're very plastic, neuroplasticity, and that's a whole nother topic. But our brains can receive this information, and by tapping on it, it says scan the body and to receive the updates, basically. Mm-hmm. And at the end of this program, we're going to go ahead and we're going to teach one of the most powerful Body Talk techniques known as brain balance, or the cortices technique. It is approved for us to teach it to everybody. And Body Talk is taught in 39 countries, especially where there is no healthcare whatsoever. And it becomes a standalone program. Body Talk is also known as complementary and alternative, but it can stand on its own 2 feet as well.
Well, and tell us, how did Body Talk come around? I mean, was it created or was it discovered? I know that it was founded in the mid-90s by Dr. John Veldheim, and he has a background in I can't say that word. Can you say it for me?
Naturopath?
Naturopath.
Yeah.
Naturopathy and acupuncture and chiropractic.
He's quite amazing, actually. His story goes like this. I think he pretty much overworked himself in the field of healing, being an acupuncturist and a chiropractor and teaching. He was a teacher. And what happened was that he turned on an Epstein-Barr virus within his body and got very, very ill. And Western medicine wasn't helping him. He had, exhausted all those avenues. And he was told to actually put his affairs in order. He was told he wasn't going to make it. And so for a last ditch effort, like we all do, he went to a person who did an alternative treatment on him. And basically what I heard him say was that they poked his finger, took a drop of his blood, put it in his belly button. And 2 days later, his fever was gone, absolutely gone.
Huh.
His body, I know, we don't use blood anymore, we use saliva, but his body healed itself. Why? because your DNA, your RNA exists in your blood. And the belly button is the portal. Think about it. What was the belly button? It was our cord of life to our mother in a womb, right? And the moment we're born, we're told, oh, nope, you can't breathe that inner womb air anymore. You must breathe real air. And they cut the cord, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your belly button is still a receiver of information. We do use it in body chemistry to help balance allergies and intolerances, and update what's going on in the body. It's very scientific to use saliva because it has all of our information in it.
It reminds me of something that's a little bit off topic, but I've read a story about how you can, like, when you plant your garden, if you spit into the hole before you put the seed in and cover it up, that the plant will grow in like with nature. It'll like collaborate to grow in the nutrients and the sort of chemistry that would best serve your body, which I find a fascinating concept. And so that's interesting that you talk about the saliva being.
Yeah, and did you know that Body Talk's not just for humans? There is Body Talk for plants and there is Body Talk for animals. And I have seen pictures of a plant that has received Body Talk and a plant that did not receive Body Talk. And I can tell you there's a visual difference. The plant who received Body Talk is thicker and greener, and it has flourished so much faster. So
it seems like in order to do Body Talk, you almost have to be psychic, though. Like, I mean, Lisa, you were just kind of what you call it, tuning in to my body, right? So what about those people who aren't psychic? Or, I mean, do you have to be, or how do you do that tuning in, right?
We all have the ability. We always hear that, right?
Yes.
You just have to have a desire and a want to learn, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And does it help to be intuitive? Absolutely. But every one of us can develop our intuition. It's no different than lifting a weight. If you want to develop your bicep muscle, right? How do you develop this?
Mm-hmm.
You lift a weight. How do you develop your Body Talk skills? You practice Body Talk. Before they even allow you to take your Body Talk test, they require you to work on over 100 people. They want you to have solid skills.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a journey. And I can tell you that every one of us is unique. Every one of us has a unique background that we bring to the table in Body Talk. And we utilize that as part of the treatment, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually have to let go of certain things in order for, as I call it, the divine download. Just allowing our intuition to come in, and we get pop-ups, as we call it in Body Talk. I'll get a vision, or I'll get a feeling, or I'll hear something. And you just have to be willing to listen. In fact, we always joke in Body Talk, we should be called body listeners, not body talkers.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we listen. That's what we're doing. We're listening to your body. And a lot of us get sensations within our body, and it is because it's telling us where we should be looking within your body. I remember when I was practicing, and I had a client. She was actually my insurance agent, and she was in the state of Washington. And I was like begging her, would you please let me give you a Body Talk session? I have to, complete so many.
Right.
And yeah, and so she was in need of one, and she didn't really tell me anything. She's like, yeah, just go ahead and give me a general session, which I did. But I got all these sensations within my body. And I just said, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is where. And I don't know what it means, even though, you use this term psychic.
Right.
You don't really know what it means, but they know what it means.
Mm,
So I just basically tell her what it was, and she was absolutely flabbergasted because of the story that unfolds, because that's what body talk is about. We're not focusing in on a person's symptoms. We are actually looking for solutions.
mhm.
And you don't find the solution in the symptom.
That's for
And
sure. Yeah.
yeah, and really in Western medicine and in allopathic medicine, which they are the same, um, you're kind of limiting yourself when you just look at symptoms. In fact, if what I'd like to get people to understand is that a symptom is just a message. It's a messenger to get your attention.
Yep.
So don't shoot the messenger.
Absolutely.
Learn
Oh my goodness.
learn to work with your body, you know. Um like I said, we weren't taught in school. I bet you every person watching this would probably agree with me that we were not taught to listen to our body, that it is intelligent.
It seemed
You know,
almost like there was a campaign at some point for everyone to put doctors up on a pedestal and, to just disconnect, your insight of your intuition about your own body and go to this other external person and listen to what they had to say. And it just fascinates me how for so many decades of our culture that's been going on, and people
yeah,
truly have lost the connection to their own wisdom in their body and of their body. But I think that's changing. It's changing with Reiki, it's changing with NLP, it's changing with body talk, it's changing with so many other modalities, and it's really an exciting time to be practicing energy medicine.
it is. This time that we're in, I like to say that your soul signed up for this. I mean, you can't imagine how many souls want to be present for this moment in time. I mean, we are on a verge of what they call the Great Awakening. The old programs are dying. It no longer makes sense to us any longer. And the new ones are forming. It's absolutely coming to a head, a new fruition, new path.
Yeah.
And because of the internet, we are now connecting externally. It doesn't matter anymore. We don't have to be in person. We don't have to be in the same city or state. We are connecting globally now.
And it's not even
And
just being online. I mean, I think maybe that seems like what you are talking about, but I know you are also meaning that time and space do not exist. And
it does not.
it's a concept that we've accepted as a collective by consensus, and therefore it does exist because we by consensus agree that there is time. We agree. But if we all decided that time didn't exist anymore, I think it would be rather interesting what would happen, because I know that I can work with my own healing in the past. I can go back, and work with little Lisa, back in third grade or whatever, and clear up things that, you know, change everything. And so,
No, a perfect example of that is when we listen to music. I mean, the moment you hear a song, it transports you to that moment in time for whatever memory you hold with that song. And that just goes to show how we can transverse through time, even just by a song.
that's right. That's a great
Yeah.
example. Hmm. Well, Lisa,
Yeah. And actually,
go ahead. Sorry.
oh, actually, just to mention, I mean, some people are understanding today, there's more speak about it, the third dimension, which, we all are in the third dimension, moving into the fourth dimension, which is the addition of time. And so I think time is a man construct, but we do obviously need it to keep, track of things.
Yes.
But it isn't holding us. It isn't holding us there. Um, that's why we can go to the future, we can go to the now, we can go to the past. You're not held in place.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lisa, this feels like a good transition and a good time to invite some questions. And I don't know if you would want to do any kind of mini sessions for anyone or anything like that. But if someone has a question, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I would be happy to answer any questions, or if you have a question in regards to a symptom, we can work that through. Yeah.
All right, great. So at this point in time, I'm going to unmute everyone, and I'm also going to ask everybody to turn on their video cameras so that we can see you. And that way we can all just have a discussion here and take some questions. If anybody is interested in asking a question of Lisa, go ahead and jump in. And just say your name and your question. I've opened up the chat window as well, so if you want to type your question, that would be okay too. So with us today, we have Kristen and Elizabeth and Laurie. So thank you for joining us for this discussion. Does anybody have a question for Lisa?
I do. I'm Elizabeth. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You did a fantastic job and really opened my eyes to some more healing modalities that I can include in my business. My question to you is, after all the doctors and everything else, do you have the fibromyalgia now, or is it pretty much under control?
That is a great question. I no longer have fibromyalgia. I believe I am cured from it. Now, I do notice that if I should have a major emotional event where I feel great sadness or something in that realm, that if I go too far, I can reactivate some of that pain within my body. I have noticed that connection. And so I didn't get to tell you guys earlier, but at the end of my very first Body Talk session, I will never forget the feeling that I felt. And I actually heard a voice, and I kept hearing, I am. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was like, I am. Like, I didn't understand what that was. And then I heard, I am Lisa. And I was like, ah. And then I remembered from my religious teaching what I am is. And it was the most amazing connection ever. And I've shared this story with other body talkers, and I thought maybe that was the thing that happened. It's unique to everybody. And I can tell you that I'll never forget that first session ever, because it was powerful. And it shifted my energy in such that a lot of the physical symptoms that I was experiencing just melted away.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That is so beautiful. That adds a lot to it. And do you teach these classes?
In the Body Talk world, you have to become an instructor. It is one of my future goals to do so. And if you are interested in Body Talk, you may want to just learn some of these skills to do it for yourself or your family. And then I would encourage you to take what is known as an access course. And it teaches you, I believe, 5 techniques that you can do on yourself or other people, other family members. It is about a 5-hour day. A lot of us body talkers, I kind of call us, we're kind of nerdy. We love information. Like, we're in class literally from 9 in the morning until 6 at night, and we are all alert. We don't get tired. We're not putting our head down. We are receiving information. And when you're in a Body Talk class, you are actually in a matrix. You can feel everybody's energy, and you can feel that, if you feel like you're falling behind or you don't understand, the Body Talk class matrix, you can just feel how it helps you to take it in so much easier than if you were just studying by yourself. So I would be happy to get you in touch with somebody in your area. Are you in Nebraska?
No, I'm in Cheyenne.
You're in Cheyenne, you're in Wyoming. So if you went to the IBA, which is the International Body Talk Association,
Okay.
you can go on and you can click on courses, and then you could look to see if there was anybody in your state or your city.
Okay.
And if not, I would be happy to connect you with somebody. Because right now, due to this whole pandemic, a lot of trainers are doing it online.
Well, that's
Good.
And
Okay.
and I can tell you, it's worth your time. It is
Well,
worth your time.
I am definitely ready to rock and roll with it because I might be an old dog, but I'm always ready to learn new tricks.
Yeah, yeah. And that is the key. Don't go on autopilot. If this is your thing, keep, acquiring that tools that you can put in your tool bag to help people. That's what you are. You're a helper, you're a healer, and you're a facilitator, right? And
Yeah.
so it never hurts to have a good tool.
Exactly.
This is a really good
I so
tool.
appreciate what I have learned from you tonight. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're going to learn a major one, so don't go away. We're going to teach.
Don't leave.
Yeah, we're going to.
Oh, I'm not leaving. I'm
Great.
not gonna leave.
Trick,
No
a good
way.
tool coming up. I'm excited that Lisa's going to share it with us.
Yeah.
So does anyone else have a question? Now's your chance.
Lisa, I do. So how does one prepare to encounter a body talk experience? Person coming from modern medicine, very restless sleep. I've done some yoga, I've done some Reiki, I've done some other things, but as a person that's unfamiliar with body talking, how would I approach this would it be from a mindset point of view? Could you walk me through something like that?
Yeah, great question. So, body talk works even if you don't believe it. Okay. So, what you talk about a mindset, right? That is a really interesting thing. I would say that you just need an experience, basically. And from your experience, you will formulate your perception of that modality. And so there's really nothing you have to do to prepare other than have an open mind. Because or works with you, I should say, you'll know what's being validated. It will resonate with you. And then what happens is after the session, your body actually gets more awareness or more clarity, as I call it. Some things that you were experiencing prior to that just go away like that. Some things may linger. It's almost like it's, something that's deep down that needs to come to the surface for you to have an understanding and to process. And then once you do that, you kind of basically let it go. You create an open space within yourself to allow more information in.
Wonderful.
Right?
So how would I go about finding a body talker in my area so that I can have that experience?
Well, once again, if you want to do it in person, you could seek out somebody if there is a body talker in your area. Where are you located, Lori?
I'm here in Gearing, Nebraska.
You're in Gearing. Nice. So once again, you can go to the IBA website, which stands for the International Body Talk Association, and you could put in your state and your city to see if there's any body talkers near you. But with the wonderful World Wide Web that we have today, you don't have to be in person any longer. I've been doing lots of Skype sessions because, like we said, distance does not matter. And So, you can also find somebody that could do it over the internet for you. It's really no different.
Somebody like Lisa?
Somebody like me? Yeah. What I remember when I was in class, because remember, I didn't have a hands-on. I talked to my first body talker on the phone. And that was prior to Zoom. That was prior to, everything that we have today. And when I was in class, the first thing that jumped out at me, Lori, was, we have a massage table, you lay down, body talkers come up, and we lay our hands on you. Like, I choose to place my hand on your arm, basically. Some people will place their right hand on your abdomen, which would be your diaphragm. And I can tell you that really jumped out at me. The physical touch, the physical tapping was so powerful, so powerful. And it just amazes me when this information from a complete stranger is talking about you, and that's your body. The symptoms or whatever you've been thinking about, it comes up in the session. There's no doubt.
Maybe we can talk Lisa into coming to Gearing for the Wyobraska Metaphysical Fair in October. It's over Halloween weekend. What do you think?
Ooh, that would be fun. That would be real
please.
fun. Yeah.
Just put it on the record, Lisa.
I can tell you most people, yeah, she is getting it.
You'll be there, right? You'll be there. Come on, you can do this.
I would love to do that. That'd be
Elizabeth
fun. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elizabeth will be there.
Okay.
You betcha.
Why not? Why not?
Okay.
But I can tell you, for most people who've never experienced Body Talk, it's wonderful in person. It truly is. And to have that first experience is great. And then maybe after that, if you want to do a distance session, it's just as powerful. It really is. It's not weaker. It's not lesser. It isn't. So, did I answer your question, Lori? Great. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much.
Question.
Hi.
Hello. So I would like to talk more symptomatic subject and how it can possibly be addressed with this modality. So I believe that in my cycle of women in my family that I'm a cycle breaker. So this round of my lifetime, I have noticed things in my life that are very common within women, especially in my family, that I'm breaking the cycle with my presence on the planet. And one of the things that I'm noticing that I'm working on breaking is a symptom of asthma. And I truly feel that, so I try to watch my wording. So in layman's terms, I suffer from asthma. It has been a problem the majority of my adult life.
Okay.
And not to go into a ton of detail, a couple years ago, my asthma was so debilitating that it literally kept me in another country. I traveled to a country and my asthma got so out of control that I was unhealthy to the point where I couldn't fly home.
Wow.
But during that time that I was gone, I also dealt with some very, very deep rooted emotional issues that I was able to break, but I also needed Western medicine to calm my asthma.
Yes.
So I feel like I'm strong and healthy, very active all the time, but I'm still kind of holding on to this fear of, I have been riding my bike way more right now because for obvious reasons, we don't have much else to do. So, and it's just I'll leave the house without grabbing my inhaler, and I'm scared for obvious reasons where I'm oh my God, I left the house without my inhaler. But then I'm is it the asthma or is it still fear, some sort of fear that I'm holding on to? So not necessarily asking for a session at the moment, but how would you address something like that?
Okay. That's a great question. So it's not Lisa coming up with this. It's tuning into your body and your story. It looks like she's stuck. We got internet, I hope. Can you hear me?
I think he's still with us.
Here we go. I froze. Boo.
Yay. Okay.
You're back.
Okay. So I always look at this, like, I tried to send Lisa a picture and it wasn't enough time. But if you can envision an iceberg, okay? And the iceberg, let's say this is the water and only so much sits up, right? But below, the iceberg looks like this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's my little hands. So Western medicine focusing on that 10%, right? They're basically like, oh, you have asthma. Yeah, that's a lifelong condition.
I'm like, oh, you don't say. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a disease. The disease.
Yeah.
Guess what? I used to have asthma. I wasn't born with it. I acquired it at the age of 18. And everybody has a different story and everybody has a different body. And so in Body Talk, I don't go, oh, well, it should be this, this, and this, and this. No, I ask your body, what is the imbalance that is causing this? You already touched base on a couple of them, which the first one was, is it just my fear? You know, like, is this just a fear? And the other one was, you know, I had some deep emotional roots. You know, the lungs are all about joy. You know, it carries the consciousness of joy. So if you're in a place where things are heavy and dark and sad, right, then there is an imbalance in, that's not the natural consciousness of the lungs. There is an imbalance there. And also, you know, from a scientific point, that is that we have microbes in our lungs, by the way. And if we're on long-term medication for asthma, those microbes might get out of hand, meaning the bad guys, as we would call them. What if they're overtaking the good guys? And that chemistry within the lungs changes. And so, you know, you have the physical aspect, you have the emotional aspect, and then you also have the energy aspect of the lungs. And so I want to look on a chart here real quick for you. And so I'm gonna list a couple of things. I'm gonna kind of check in on you for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so what came up for you is basically releasing and holding on to things. That's really what, and it's not the only thing, by the way. Another thing that came up was reactiveness. So in other words, that would be like a habit or a pattern for you. And sometimes we get stuck in habits and patterns. And so we call those like negative patterns, basically. And so your innate wisdom, the energy of your lungs, it has a story. And that's what Body Talk is about. We find that story, Kristen, and once we build this story, then we're able to have you release it. We're able to help you move through it so that you're not continuing. Like you told me, you're going to break the cycle. You're like, it stops with me. So, right, you already have that mindset, just like I had the mindset that I was going to heal myself.
Yes.
And I was on a mission. Yeah.
And it comes from like my mom. I'm following a lot of patterns that my mom has had. And my mom had, like, she honestly did have like a super traumatic, not really traumatic, but just like a very emotionally unsupportive life with her family. And she has suffered from asthma to the point where she uses that as like a reason to, I have no doubt, I mean, when you can't breathe, you can't do anything. So I'm not disbelieving her. But at the same time, like, I feel like so much of it is more deep-rooted emotion. And I see myself following kind of like her timeline of even the timeline of too specific of when things have gotten severe, like in my time. At the same time, it was the same for her, where she started having to use steroids every day and this and that. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I
have to, I don't use steroids.
Right. I understand. You can break free from that. I can tell you.
Mhm.
Energy is energy. It is energy.
Yeah.
And so through Body Talk, it will help you to have clarity. It will tell a story that you probably don't even understand. Like, it's in you, but you know, a different story. Like, what you just told me, like, why is this happening again in your life when it was in my mom's life and stuff like that? There are a lot of reasons why people get asthma, literally a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And yours is unique to you. It is as unique as your fingerprints. It is as unique as your face. You and your story. And so it is worth exploring. If I can heal from fibromyalgia, you can heal from asthma. You don't have to have a lifelong issue on that. And in Body Talk, we also, if we feel like through the innate wisdom, if you need to see, let's say, a specialist or so, it'll come up. It will tell us. It'll say, this person does need to seek, Western medicine, or maybe it needs to seek a Chinese medicine doctor, or whatever other modalities are out there. We're not here saying that, Body Talk's the only cure. You have lots of options. But Body Talk is a whole person. It's not just your symptoms. And so that's really what it takes to heal. Not symptom management.
Yeah.
To heal.
Yeah.
And I have story after story after story. I'm just in awe of this modality. And I'm sure it's just one of hundreds of them that are out there. And, I encourage you to seek out the one that is right for you. And don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to try. It's you're worth it. You're worth it.
Okay. Aw, thanks.
Lisa, if I can ask a question, thank you, Kristen, for bringing that up, because I also have had like a family, I have broken some family chains, whether it be emotionally or whether it be a specific illness in our family, especially the mental illness is really rampant throughout my bloodline. So the question that I have, it can be done, because Kristen, you and I are both living proof that we can break the cycle of those inherited conditions or diseases or what have you by the lives that we choose to live for ourselves. Is there such a thing as imprinted energy? Because that's what this makes me think of. I don't know anything about it. It just makes me feel like before I was born, this was not something that I acquired. This was something that came with me as a created human being. So is there such a thing as imprinted energy, and is this what we're talking about?
Okay, yeah, your term is interesting to me, because did somebody imprint on you is really what you're asking me. What I've learned, and it really boils down to your belief, what you believe is your truth. And our beliefs can change, right? It's not set in stone. A belief is nothing more than a thought you keep thinking over and over again. And if it's true, or if it's your belief, then it's your truth. So what I know for sure, and this is my belief, that we do not come into this world a blank slate.
True.
We are not, you know, this baby for this, it's not our first rodeo. That is my belief. There's just no way this can be our first rodeo. Maybe for some, but not for all. And so, you know, another person, if you haven't listened to him, is Dr. Bruce Lipton. Have you read his book called The Biology of Belief? Okay. You might want to put that on your to-do list to read. But what he tells us is that a child from the age of 1 to 7 years of age basically is being indoctrinated into that family's belief system.
Mhm.
In fact, you know, that is our formative years. We're forming our personal personalities in that time period. Think about that.
In NLP, we call that the imprint stage.
Yeah, we are imprintable at that stage.
We're like
We're sponges.
devices.
Yeah, and our families, you know, our mom and our dad, I mean, boy, we put them up. They are like our role models. They hold tremendous energy in the family matrix. And if there isn't a mom or there isn't a dad that is holding that energy for that matrix, then there is an imbalance that goes on. There is a shortage of that masculine energy or that feminine energy. And so it will affect you. Absolutely. I think
you believe that trauma also has an impact on that as well.
absolutely.
Very much so. Very much so.
Absolutely.
I have also had asthma in the most severe because I was on breathing treatments twice a day. I couldn't leave the house without an inhaler. Fortunately, well, unfortunately, my grandparents started me smoking when I was 3 years old. Therefore, I smoked all through my life until I smoked for many years. And I have been smokeless for many years now. I think I'm going on 4 or 5 years.
Yay!
And, yes, thank you. And not only that, but I have lost all my asthma basically because I refuse to have it in my body. I can run, I can do so many things, and you know, I'm not a spring chicken, but I sure like to be one, you know. So there is a lot of hope, there is a lot of faith, and boy, did I have to get rid of a lot of fear because I held it growing up bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, in Chinese medicine, under the metal element is the organs of lung and large intestine. And so the natural emotion for the metal element is grief. Now, a lot of times we hang on to grief, right? That doesn't do us good because really what we're supposed to do is feel it, let it go. And that's what the large intestine is all about. The large intestine is about letting go of things, emotions, things that don't serve us any longer. So if we have an imbalance in that, you're going to see a reflection of that. But also I know that in allopathic medicine, a lot of the drugs that are supposed to help you are doing the exact opposite. They're overgrowing the bad bugs and causing a reaction as well. So, you know, our microbes, our inner environment play a huge role in our health. In fact, when my gut was on fire, I could not read a paragraph and or remember it. I had so much brain fog that I couldn't tell you, like I couldn't carry on a great conversation. I couldn't read a paragraph. And that's when I knew that something was really wrong. And once you clean up your gut, or once you clean up those microbes, get them back in balance, then your body will respond. It can. So it's not that you have a chemical deficiency, you have either a toxicity or a deficiency. And so there are all aspects to look at, emotional, mental, physical aspects in regards to asthma.
And also, I'd like to say one more thing too. Another way I got rid of my asthma was I went to a reflexologist and learned how to work with my own reflexology.
That's awesome.
So I had pneumonia last year and I just worked with it and I ended up healing like in a week.
Wow, that's very good.
Wow.
I can honestly say, since I've been doing Body Talk and since I know Body Talk, I'm not sick like I used to. I used to catch everything under the sun. I don't any longer. The wonderful side effect of Body Talk is a stronger immune system. Get that? A stronger immune system. And yeah, so wonderful side effect there. When we get our brains in alignment and when we get an understanding, then your body, you're working with your body, not against your body.
Beautiful. Well, thanks everybody for the questions, and the discussion about asthma was really interesting. I think we have just a little bit time left for Lisa to teach us how to balance our cortices, and that's a really cool tool for all of us to learn.
So what I'm about to teach you is known as the cortices technique. Okay, so you have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. And so if you were to close your eyes and imagine your brain, basically you have, you know, a line that separates the two brains. You have a left and a right. I'm right-handed, so basically I like to use it for the tapping, but I want you to take your left hand and place it at the back of your head, right above the neck, okay? And use your whole hand, keep it as wide as you can. And I want you to start tapping on the top of your head. It feels really awkward at first, but I can tell you that eventually it'll get very normal and relaxing. And when you're doing this, take a deep breath in, let it out. And then take your hand that was tapping on top of your head, and now I want you to tap over your heart center. Keep your other hand in place. So you're tapping on your heart. Take another deep breath in and out. And now tap on your gut. We just go tap, tap, tap. Great. Okay, now what I want you to do is go ahead and take your hand to the next position, a little bit higher. And we're going to tap. Just close your eyes. And you have an open palm, and you're tapping on both sides of your brain, left and right. Take a deep breath in and out. Now tap over your heart center. Keep breathing. Tap over your gut. And we basically do this in 2 cycles. So take it up again. Tapping on top. Over your heart. Tuning into yourself, into your body, and on your gut. Move your hand to the top. Tap on top. Tap on your heart. And sometimes I actually feel like strings are popping. It's like a guitar string. It's like rebalancing itself in the heart area. Just pay attention to that for you. Tap on your gut. Start it over. Do it on top. Tap over your heart. Remember, we're saving and updating the information that is coming in. Tap on the gut. Now move your hand to your frontal cortex, which is your forehead right here. Go ahead. Tap again on the top. Tap on your heart. Tap on your gut. Make sure you're deep breathing. Do it again. Inhale. Exhale. Tap on your heart. Tap on your gut. Now go ahead and take your both hands and place it on your limbic brain. This is where our emotional center is. What I do is I just take a little brief moment and I see light go from one palm to the other, just joining in the left and the right hemisphere. And I take my right hand and I start tapping. And I keep my left hand in place and I tap on the heart. I tap on the gut. And I return both hands once again. It just feels good. It's relaxing. And I take my left hand and I tap on the top. Deep breath in. And out. And on the gut. One last time. Hold it there for just a moment. And then we just tap on the head and the heart. Head and heart. And then done. Now, some of the great benefits of balancing the cortices is obviously we are balancing the whole brain. If we could take a picture image of the brain, we would have spottiness and different colors and different ways that the brain was lighting up. After we balance the cortices, if we were to take a picture, it would be all together. It would be as if it was in coherence and harmony. And so if we could see it light up, like if we were to take an MRI image, those cold spots no longer exist. It also resets the nervous system. Think about it. It's attached to our brain stem. It's attached to our spinal cord. It relaxes, so it rebalances that. It also provides clarity. It allows us to really get out of confusion and chaos and come into clarity. So we tell people, do it as often as you need it, but at least once a day. And it's cumulative. So if you do it today, tomorrow, or the next day, it is like a building block, and your body builds upon that. And it's very, very powerful. So what we do is we balance the whole brain, the limbic brain, and then resetting the nervous system. If you suffer from anxiety, it helps rebalance that. Or if you're just needing some clarity, let's say you're going to take a test or you have to talk to somebody, it's always good to balance your brain, because you want your brain firing together, not as an independent part of the brain. Is so important.
So Lisa, it's kind of like balancing all three brains, really, because you were talking about the brain up here, the brain in the heart, the brain in the gut. So
yes,
it's actually more than just this one, right?
It is. We have the three brains, and we also have a technique which is known as the three brains, and it's a full, like it takes time to help balance and bring them together. But this is a really quick way to do it. And you're right, you are tapping on your head brain, and you are tapping on your heart brain, and you are tapping on your gut brain. And all that information is updating the hard drive. Remember, the brain is a hard drive. Okay? Yeah. Breaking old patterns and habits. It's a very powerful tool.
Well, that, my friend, has been a beautiful conversation tonight.
Thank you, Lisa.
We are at our time, a little over time, but that's okay. I think we're all really happy to be here. So I'm just gonna unmute everybody again, and let's, if anybody would like to just say a final word to Lisa, we'll start with Elizabeth, if you have something you'd like to say to Lisa, and we'll just kind of take turns, and then we'll say goodbye after Lisa has a chance.
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, you have just like opened up so much, and I was doing the exercises, and I just feel so good. I'm ready to go dance in the street.
Yeah.
But,
it does. It replenishes energy. Yes.
Oh, I love it, and I wrote it down, so I'm going to rock and roll with it. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Blessed be, hon.
Thank you. You too. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Elizabeth. Lori, do you want to sign off?
Yeah, I thought this was very, very interesting. A lot of information to take in. I'm looking forward to doing the research on this because I find it fascinating. And anything that I can do to help myself heal in every area of my being is what one of the goals is for myself. So thank you so much. I'm so glad, Lisa, that you put this on for us. And I'm just really, really grateful for you to present, and really grateful to be in this space where we can discuss body talking. This is all new, and I think it's just wonderful. So thank you again so much.
Oh, quit licking my glass. That's my glass.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Lori. Kristen, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. To both the Lisas, Lisa squared, thank you for doing this. This was really cool. I'm in the same boat. I will follow with Lori's comment and say that it's beautiful to be aware that there's more than one option to take care. Things, you know, I don't want to call them issues, but just like one with yourself or other people, there's different ways to go about it, and educating yourself just leads down other pathways, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's fun to share that with like-minded, powerful women. So yeah, so thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Okay, Rochelle, I'm going to unmute.
Sorry, I missed it, but I'll definitely check it out and watch the whole thing later.
Okay.
I'm just so technology, how do you call that? Challenged.
You're learning.
Yeah, you're learning. That's what
I got it figured out now, though.
Yeah, it will be easier next week. And that
That's
is
right.
actually a perfect lead-in for my announcement for next week. I'm really excited about next week's show. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Sierra Frost, and she is a very powerful speaker and fierce advocate for mental health. And it's not traditionally the approach that you're familiar with. And she is just such a powerful person and spirit. And we're going to be thinking about the unspoken qualities of spiritual leadership. So it's going to be a really great discussion, and anyone who wants to learn more about that topic should join in on Friday. And so I just want to take this time to thank you, Lisa, for being so generous with us. And, you know, Lisa has so much in her, and so she's so interesting. We could probably do 3 more of these shows and talk about other topics. And so
it's a lot of info. I wanted to keep it short and sweet, right? There's so much more to it. And if you are looking for a body talk session, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And, you know, keep growing, keep expanding. And I wish you all well, and thank you for your time tonight.
And everybody,
you.
I will definitely
Been
put
amazing.
Lisa's information in the group page, the event page for this particular event, so that you can contact her, or you can find her on Facebook. So she's on my friends list.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
This has
everybody.
been really amazing.
Can I take a group picture?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me see if I can make it. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Smile, everybody.
Bye.
ready? Cheese.
Cheese.
I was trying to do the same
There we go.
earlier so I could post it, but I think you guys saw
That's fun. Well, maybe hey, I need to do this. I've never even thought of it. Let me do it too, okay?
Okay, let me throw my leg.
Indulge me. Oh, she sent it to me. Ready? Everybody smile.
Oh, she's like, no.
All right. Good night. Have a wonderful weekend. This is Lisa and Friends over and out.
Over and
Yes,
out.
thank you. Thank
Have
you.
a great
thank you.
weekend.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.